So we are looking at the broader Middle East here, so I can talk about the strike on Tower 22 that killed 3 U.S. service members. And the area we are looking at specifically is right in here. Obviously, we have Iraq, Syria, Jordan, Israel. This whole thing is Saudi Arabia. Iran is over here. And obviously, this is where the strike took place. So we can go ahead and zoom in on this region right here. It is in Jordan. There's been some confusion on the internet where people have been saying it's actually in Iraq. It is not. It is absolutely in Jordan, just across from the Syrian border. It's actually right here. It's called Rukban, but also known as Tower 22. And we can continue to zoom in so you can kind of see what it looks like just across the Syrian border. And this is an outline of the facility. I have a better view of it so we can talk about exactly what took place. But what is known as the drone entered the base while a U.S. drone was returning. I don't know the direction it was coming from. Even if I did, I probably wouldn't say anything about that. But an enemy drone operator took the opportunity to follow a U.S. drone in, so it was never identified as an enemy drone, and there was no attempt to intercept the enemy drone, which struck a trailer housing troops. Now, obviously, 3 troops were killed, 47 were wounded, with injuries ranging from cuts and bruises to traumatic brain injuries. 8 soldiers were evacuated for medical treatment, including 3 to Landstuhl Regional Medical Center in Germany. And all the troops apparently are in stable condition. Now, Iran has denied any involvement in the attack, which is a claim that was refuted by the U.S., as it is well known that Iran continues to provide weapons, intelligence, logistics, finances, and even their own people as Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps members integrate into the units that conduct these attacks. Iraq and Jordan officially condemned the drone strikes and are working with the U.S. Now, an Islamic resistant group in Iraq has claimed responsibility for several attacks in the region, but not this one in Jordan. No one has actually claimed officially responsibility for conducting this drone strike. So the U.S. Department of Defense believes it was an Iranian-made Shahed 101 or possibly a 123 or 131, which you kind of see the different variants here. So nothing too over the top with these drones. And like I said, it was likely following a U.S. drone that was returning from mission, and that is how it evaded any kind of detection. Now, the U.S. did have Coyote drone interceptors, and this is what one looks like right here on Tower 22, able to intercept these drones. But as I said, they were not activated because the drone that they thought was coming in was a friendly drone. It was a U.S. drone, and again, the Iranian-made drone was following that drone in, so no intercept took place. So what is Tower 22? Now, if you remember that map I just showed you, this is kind of a better colorized version to give you an idea of what's going on. This Area 55 is generally a demilitarized zone for the different forces that operate in here. You have Iraq, Syria, Jordan, the U.S., multinational forces from other countries, etc. Obviously, Tower 22 sits right here, just across from the Syrian border, which this pink is Syria over here. It sits across from the Syrian border and operates as a logistics base, aviation, engineering units. There's also security troops there, and about 350 troops that are both Army and Air Force are deployed to Tower 22. The base's location offers a site for American forces to infiltrate Syria, conduct operations, and then quietly leave and come back to the base, usually undetected or able to conduct special operations. It's also a resupply base for many special operations forces operating in the region. So this is an overhead shot of what Tower 22 looks like, and you can have some identifying features, but I'm not going to go into super close detail. Obviously, you have helicopter pads here. This is obviously a refuel site where you have the fuel blivets held in bermed so they don't spill everywhere. More than likely, this drone came in and struck something in the center here. This obviously is where the troop billeting, the dining facilities, the headquarters, recreation facilities, etc., all concentrated in the center here. And that's usually how a U.S. FOB, forward operating base, is aligned. It's how they're made. But not going to tell you exactly what I think happened. Not going to speculate. Not going to even talk about what I think the housing versus the headquarters versus dining facility, etc. Just know that more than likely this drone struck somewhere in the center here because officials have said the drone struck troop housing containers. or trailers rather. Now, the White House has stated its intent to avoid a war with Iran, even as it plans to respond to the attack. But U.S. officials have said once President Biden gives the go-ahead, which will likely be sometime this evening, any retaliatory actions against Iranian-backed groups or Iran's assets itself should begin within the next few hours to days, and it will consist of probably several waves of strikes against a range of targets that could include Iranian and Iranian-backed forces in Iraq, as well as Syria, as well as Iranian naval assets in the Persian Gulf. However, based on the comments from the Secretary of Defense, Lloyd Austin, it is unlikely that any targets in Iran proper will be struck. So we'll have to see what the response from the White House and the Biden administration will be on these attacks on U.S. troops. Fact of the matter is there's been over 120 attacks in the last few months on U.S. assets, and it was only really a matter of time before a U.S. soldier or service member was going to be killed. So that was just a once-over of what is going on and what we could potentially see across the region in the near term.